Danielle. How are you?
Good. Enjoying the last legs of summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are seeing it. How was the turnout for the kids' youth bus program? A lot of kids riding the bus this summer?
Yeah, the interesting thing for Summer Youth Pass is it's a really underused program, and I think it's because our service is free in Mason County.
Sure.
And so you don't really need a bus pass to be getting around the county, and so the Summer Youth Pass, that's specifically for out-of-county service. But I'm hoping to see more use.
This just popped into my head here. You can feel free to use this or not. What if you were to make like a travel adventure book that they checked off if they went to a place via transit?
That's a really great idea.
Instead of the bus driver, giving them the pass or whatever, they maybe have a stamp and say, listen, you got off at, I don't know, Truman Glick Park.
Yeah.
And you get a stamp, and now you visited that place.
That's a really neat idea. You want to come work for Mason Transit, Jeff?
I mean,
Watch out, Dale.
If I don't have to start at 8 in the morning or something, we could work on the schedule maybe. There could be something there.
Oh, I know a while back there used to exist a publication that MTA and I think another agency had gotten a grant for, and it was like Happy Trails, and I had the schedule for all the services around the Olympic Peninsula Loop, and I just recently, last year, found that, and that's, I guess not recently, and I'm looking into what we can do to do something similar and partnering with the other agencies in order to create that. So the other agencies that partner with us, which is Grays Harbor Transit, Jefferson Transit, and Klallam Transit, and I think word on the street is, we'll find out, Intercity might join this memorandum basically of understanding that all of us will partner and offer this same summer youth pass, which means the pass is good as on all of those. And so that will really, I think, help. And so when that happens, I'll have that conversation and talk about, hey, let's do a summer passport on the bus. Summer passport.
There you go. You got the name already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Our powers combined.
Nice.
You got it.
Good. I was driving the other day, and I noticed up ahead that there's the bus on the side, and it has its flashers on, which tell me that they're picking up someone.
Right.
But then the flashers turned into just the turn signal to kind of re-engage back into traffic. You have to yield for these people, right?
Right. See, you know these things. A lot of people don't. There's actually an RCW that puts into law that drivers of personal vehicles are expected to yield the right of way to buses when they're signaling to re-enter the traffic flow. Now, mind you, that doesn't allow a bus driver to create an unsafe situation and just get over if somebody is approaching.
Say, listen, I'm a bus.
Yeah, I'm a bus. I mean, technically, they're the huge machine. If you're going to put, car against a bus against each other, I'm pretty sure who might win. But safety is our number one goal, and safety of our passengers is our number one goal. And so, again, it's not like the driver's just going to come out. But, I think a lot of people, we're in such a hurry these days. It's like you see a bus with a turn signal on to get back into traffic after pulling over. And I often see cars speed up real fast. It's like, oh no, I'm going to get in front of the bus. I don't want to be stuck behind the bus. And that creates really dangerous situations. And while we do everything we can to let our passengers know, hey, make sure you don't cross in front of a bus. You need to cross behind a bus because cars can't see you. So now you're potentially creating a doubly unsafe situation where someone's speeding past a bus in order to not get stuck behind it. And then if a passenger doesn't happen to know, hey, don't cross in front, you now have the potential where there's a blind spot, a car's going fast, a passenger is crossing the street, and you now hit somebody. So there's all sorts of potential unsafe situations that could happen. So it's really important for people who are driving personal vehicles to know, by law, you need to yield to the bus as the bus is trying to get back into traffic and get people where they need to go. And then another one that's interesting, and it was a couple years ago, law was enacted that buses now, just like school buses, have to stop at railroad tracks and open the door, and look and make sure that no trains are coming. And so I think sometimes that folks don't know that that's now also a law. We do have stickers on the back of the bus, so if you're ever really bored and, you know, kind of
that's how I know about the yield sign, okay?
Yep.
Because I've read it.
There's a yield sticker on the back, and there's a sticker on the back that says this, you know, this vehicle stops at all railroads. So, and then you had talked about when you see a bus pulled over and the flashers are on, they're at a stop, they're probably letting somebody on or off the bus. But if you're ever wondering sometimes why you drive by and the bus just seems to be sitting there, well, the reason is we're keeping on schedule. And if a bus has arrived to what we call a time point, a little bit early ahead of schedule, they will wait there until the appropriate time to leave that bus stop and stay on schedule. So in the transit world, we have bus stops and you have time points. And so when you look at a bus schedule, what you see in a bus schedule are the time points. Those are the anchors that the bus follows for a schedule. But there are often lots of bus stops between those time points. And so that's why sometimes you might see somebody sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, for sure. So where does the clock come from?
The clock?
So
well, according to my studies, it came from monks back in the day who wanted to dedicate more time to their worship. So
I guess what I meant to say is, how are all bus drivers on the same atomic clock? Is there
satellite?
It's all satellite driven.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So everybody's...
Yep, it's satellite driven, which is great because people now with cell phones that are connected to satellite, that's the right kind of time. But if you're looking at a wall clock in somebody's office that's battery operated, you might want to double check and make sure. And you can always give us a call too, because I know sometimes cell phones, as they get old, they start to function less properly. And I had a situation where I had a cell phone, a couple years old, and it was like 2 minutes off.
Really?
It was so strange. Yeah, exactly. I thought that was impossible. It was a satellite, you know, and I missed a bus because of it.
Oh, my gosh.
It was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because I was in Olympia using One Bus Away app because they have real-time technology. And, you know, it's like, okay, your bus comes in 5 minutes. And so I leave from my house and I go and I was like, where the heck is it?
It's actually 3 minutes.
Yeah. So even though the cell phone is pretty reliable, you might want to I always tell people to check and make sure. So our dispatcher has, you know, their computer and they've got their little satellite time. So that's what we go off of.
Very nice. MasonTransit.org is a website for you to find out more information on the world-class public transit of Mason County since 1992. Also, you can find them on the social media and on the Facebook and Twitter at Mason Transit. And we put all these interviews up on our website at iFiber1newsradio.com. Any other advice or information to pass along this morning?
You know, when I've been out at events lately, I've realized that I have this assumption that people know about Google Transit. And I know we've talked about it here, but I kind of want to keep reiterating that for people that in the same way that you maybe go on to Google Maps or whatever your navigation is, app on a phone or the computer, and look up directions to get from point A to point B via a personal vehicle, you can do the same thing for public transit. And I think that that's a really neat thing for people because sometimes if you've never ridden transit and you open a transit book and you look at the schedules and you're trying to figure out the timetables, it can feel like reading Greek. And so this takes all of that guesswork out of it and it creates this custom itinerary specific to you and your needs. Important though, again, always call and double check afterwards. While you can, you know, 9 times out of 10, everything on the internet as far as Google Transit is pretty much up to date, but you always want to check and make sure. But you can at least figure out how to get from here to Seattle, how to get from here to Olympia, how to get from here to Portland, potentially using public transit. So
very nice. Christina Fremont, always nice talking with you here on Daybreak. And again, MasonTransit.org for all the information for the Mason Transit Authority. Let's talk again next week about all this. Thanks. Sounds good. 8:25, and we'll be right back after this.